Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Drinking with the Boys. That's episode 7 for those counting. It's a beautiful Thursday evening, and joining us today is Tyler Klatch out east in North Carolina. He's a big Saints fan, and he's part of the All Saints blog, and he does the All Saints Considered podcast.
All right, guys. Well, this is where I fill you in. So I was outside. Sorry about the sound quality there, and Tyler and I were talking remotely, and I lost the first little part of this interview. So this is where Tyler, says hi, and we had a good chat, and we got rolling. I'm going to give you a little bit of that. Thanks for staying with me, and then we're going to hop into the main segment of the podcast to where there wasn't any audio missing. But yeah, we talked about football. We talked about the Cowboys games. We have several common opponents, Cowboys and Saints, and we talked about old players, this, that, and the other, and random stuff. And we had a great rapport, and I really, really thank Tyler for joining the show. So I'm going to let you fill this in. Some of this is mostly me, set the stage for what we talked about, and then the rest of the podcast will come. So thanks for your patience, guys.
Yeah, it was awesome to have you on. Awesome to find another Saints fan out in the Twitterverse. I would say that most of my football um, following in real time comes on Twitter, and there's just so many conversations going on in the football Twitter world at any given moment. So coming across you, you're a podcaster and a Saints fan, and my whole family's a Saints fan because I'm from Louisiana originally. So it was a great connection. So I was happy to meet up with you. Yeah, and so that's actually a little bit of the reason why if you were all Redskins considered, I think I would give you a little bit less time of day. But yeah, I was born in Southwest Louisiana and lived there until I was 7. And my grandma and aunts and uncles and mom and brothers still all live down there. So y'all are 2-2, right? 3-1. Okay, so yeah, totally. It. Yeah, you just we that was it's a very similar narrative because the Cowboys started off the year against the Panthers, and it was just such a slugfest, and we held them to only 16 points, I guess, but there were it just we had absolutely no offensive rhythm. And it was really discouraging start, and really brought out the haters from the start. And I wouldn't say haters because I was just the rabid fan mentality of it's got to be better than this. There's no excuses. And so it looked real bad, but we got really rolling. We really adjusted against the Giants in week 2. I think we could have beat them by more, but we looked good. We got out early and we held them off, and offense and defense looked good. So I think it was similar that everyone just needs to play the Giants and get on a roll, right? So yeah, right. So did Saquon have much of many passing yards? Because that was the thing. He didn't get a whole lot of rushing yards against Cowboys either, but Giants threw him the ball probably like 12 times, and he looked like a really, really good, powerful runner, even though we did kind of bottle him up, but he was constantly getting the ball in the pass game. Well, I know a tiny bit. I mean, yeah, I know a little bit, but so who you got now, and why you got confidence now? Wait, you have Manti Te'o? Oh Lord, because he banished himself to nobodydom, with this stupid fake girlfriend. I mean, nobody. I don't know. I mean, if he had shown up and been the next coming of Patrick Willis, then people would remember the name. But you go out to San Diego, and that's a town where people go to die. Like it's just for NFL, it's not a big market. People just know Philip Rivers and Antonio Gates, and that's about it. I mean, I don't think they've had a defensive star for a while. That was a real tackle. Yeah, no, I think I did get wind of that little comment. I didn't think much of it, but I think I got wind of it. Yeah, whatever. The guy's gonna do what he's gonna do, and I'm sure he's used to that in his life to just say everyone brings that up, gives him a side eye, and he's like, yeah, but I'm an NFL linebacker, so shut up. All right, if you're just joining us, we've been talking to Tyler Klatch out in North Carolina, but he's a big Saints fan. Thankfully, he's not a Redskins fan. Um, for drinking with the boys here, you know, we were talking about the linebackers for the Saints, and I would actually say that to everyone's amazement in Dallas, um, the linebackers for the Cowboys are actually a strength of ours this year, and we just lost Sean Lee, and we won a
Yeah.
game. Like Sean Lee, we were playing the Seattle Seahawks, and Sean Lee tweaks his hamstring at the end, and he's out, and we didn't lose. Like when I know the Rams are a different team, but last year they weren't as good as they were this year, but they were still
Yeah.
good. Still a playoff team. We
Yeah.
uh, we lost Sean Lee, and I think we may have actually already played a game without him because the narrative was already being told even early in the game of like, the Cowboys' history without Sean Lee and how they're going to shape up this year. Oh my gosh, they gashed us absolutely. And the thing was that Jalen Smith, we drafted him. He's kind of the replacement, but he plays middle linebacker. He's definitely a different body type and everything, but he just wasn't on his legs. And most people know, his story with the torn ACL and the nerve damage and
Yeah.
everything. It's an incredible story, but he just wasn't that great last year. He was playing, which was amazing, but he
Yeah.
was he was just getting run up and down the field by Todd Gurley and everyone else. And we went, that was a real shaky time of the season for us. And historically, Sean Lee has just hardly ever played a full season, and our games are just never the same without him. So the fact that Van Der Esch filled in for Sean Lee, yes, last week, and we didn't miss a beat, and nobody was talking about it.
Yeah.
Everyone's talking about Leighton Van Der Esch right now, and it's just phenomenal, to be honest. And like you're saying, the Saints linebacking core is giving you hope. Cowboys linebacking core is giving us hope. It's funny how things go,
It's beautiful, when something you don't expect happens like that. It's nice.
right?
It's nice.
So who are those main guys for the Saints again? The
For the
linebackers or the
linebackers, yeah, our biggest one who has been playing lights out, absolutely amazing, is Demario Davis, who came from the Jets, just won NFC Defensive Player of the Week. He had, I think, 11 tackles last week,
Ooh.
2 sacks. He's been absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Demario Davis has been a beast. Then we got Monte Teo, who has been good in the run stop. Missed 2 weeks, but he's actually been really consistent in the run. We got AJ Klein, who actually started off terrible, and you would not want to see Twitter with what they're saying about him, but he's actually started getting better and better as the season's going on. And one underrated person, he doesn't get a ton of playing time, but second-year player Alex Anzalone. Most people listening probably have zero clue who he is.
Right.
But if you saw a picture though, he's got long blonde hair,
Okay.
Goldilocks hair. He is a monster. He is so good in coverage, and he has been playing well. And just good linebacker play all across the board, and it's been very refreshing for this team.
Yeah. This Alex Anzioni, is he pretty young in the league?
Yeah, I think this is his second year, so
Right.
super young.
You remember where he's
We
at?
drafted him last year in the 4th round, I want to say, out of Florida.
Out of Florida. Gotcha. Florida
Yeah,
linebackers have a good rep. Kiki, what was it?
yeah,
Kiki Alonso, right? And
yeah. I'm pretty sure.
there's been some. It wasn't Demico Ryans, was it? He was from the
I'm not.
Texans. He was real good for a while. Yeah, but
Yeah,
they've had a few. That's good when the young players can come along and impress. That was the thing. Leighton Van Der Esch wasn't going to get playing time with Sean Lee in front of him. It's not like no one's here to say no Cowboys fan is ready to say, oh look, he's incredible and he's younger and he's bigger and faster, he's better. Sean Lee has incredible play recognition, but we
Yeah.
drafted him for this. I think everyone understood that the purpose is to not let your season go off the rails. So you have to upgrade your linebacking core because like I said, Jalen was not that great last year, and we had nobody. It was a huge hole for
Yeah.
us. And so yeah, now it's actually we got a free agent pickup from the Packers, Joe Thomas. Jalen is way better. Leighton's performing. His Everyone was real up and down on him in the draft, and myself included. Not that I actually watched his tape, but based off the consensus of people and the people I did watch a few things of, and based on other people who were like minded, I was kind of low
Yeah.
on him, and
Oh,
so,
were you?
yeah, I thought I thought linebacker didn't have to be the number one thing we addressed, but
Yeah.
the Cowboys have actually done really well in the draft the last 2 years, and so just gonna keep the faith.
Yeah.
Looks like
Vander Esch actually too.
yeah,
A lot of people wanted the Saints to get him if he dropped to us. That was on a lot of people's draft
sure.
boards.
And where were the Saints picking?
Oh,
We were
God.
I think we were
27, I want to say.
17.
I think
Well, yeah, I
27,
mean
if I'm
now we're
remembering
in the
correctly.
championship. Well,
Yeah, we went
so
far.
golly, oh my gosh, that play.
Don't bring it up. Don't bring it up.
Like, oh my god, like I can't believe. So
I've tried to like block it out of my memory at this
there's
point
been a
and just
lot of
forget it ever
dude.
happened.
There's a lot worse things in Saints history to block from your memory, but yeah, that was a absolute heartbreaker. Like, so it holds a similar place in my mind as Kick Six, Auburn, Alabama, and
Yeah.
so as in, so that night I'm paying attention. I had watched it, or no, I'd listened in the radio. I was joining some friends, whatever it was, I forget exactly, but we were gonna get together. It was kind of one of the last times Kathleen was going to be in town, and I went and got some food and I brought it over. And anyway, it was just a small scale gathering, and we pulled it up online. And I'm like, dude, this is like playoff football, unbelievable. This is like the real deal. Oh my goodness! And my mom's texting me and all that stuff, right? Like everyone's watching. Great game, and
it was so much worse
wow,
too. It was so much worse
watch
too
it
because
unfold, and it's just
we were
incredible.
terrible the
Oh my
first
goodness!
quarter. Yo, see, if I wasn't a Saints fan, that would be insane. But for me, it's like the worst day of my
Rip your
life. We were down the whole
No, and you
game.
came back and everything. Yeah,
I think came back. The same dude that missed the tackle, Marcus Williams, got the interception and bring us back in the game earlier. We got momentum. We scored. We drive down the field, get points on the board. All we got to do is get the stop, keep him out of field goal range, and we win.
yeah.
Even like the millisecond after he caught it, like I had like thoughts in my head, like, oh, just make the
Right, because
tackle.
if he had gone in, if he
They
was
can
in
kick the
bounds
field
and they
goal.
couldn't clock it, it was like,
Yeah, clock
yeah,
runs
right.
out.
Oh my god, it was
Oh,
phenomenal comeback. Like, I mean, it looked like Drew Brees was pulling the magic, and I was just like,
yeah.
I was speechless. I was like, I cannot believe what just happened. And yeah, no, to be desperately rooting for the situation. Yeah, I can't believe the heartache on that. 'Cause I was working and I remember watching just like seeing the game stream or the game time, whatever they call it,
Yeah.
of Alabama Auburn, and it comes down to the last play, and they're gonna kick a field goal, and it's like 90, there's 100% chance of winning, right? And they're gonna kick a field goal,
Yeah.
blah blah blah, and they're up, they're tied. Who cares? It's gonna go to overtime, and all of a sudden, like you don't even believe what it's telling you. You say
Yeah.
it says Auburn won touchdown. Like what? Like this is impossible.
Oh,
They were Alabama's lining up to kick a field goal. You don't see it. It was just the most bizarre thing. I was just like, what in the world happened? And then, like
I was younger, but even staying up late to watch Vince Young beat USC, I was a huge Longhorns fan back in the day.
Oh, what a game!
I
What a
it was
game!
one of those, like, I yelled at my dad's like, "You're gonna wake up your brother, stop!" Like, it was kind of like, phenomenal. So we're getting a little off topic, but that's all good because we're
Yeah.
just talking football, like two guys who love football. The Saints fans, you've got a great record. You're looking good so far. You're feeling confident. The Giants give you that confidence. The Falcons, you look at your division rivals. Tampa Bay was lighting the world on fire, and now it looks like Fitzmagic has ended. The Panthers looked solid,
Yeah.
but I don't. Maybe they're just the Panthers, and I'm not really expecting them to be in the Super Bowl or anything. And the Falcons, Matt Ryan has played incredibly well, and they were still losing. So how based on
Yeah.
talk about some of the other teams in the division, and how Saints fandom and yourself are you feeling about the Saints division chances and the playoff chances?
Yeah. So the NFC South is I think the weirdest division
People
in
are
football
people are rolling with,
until the
instead of weird, one of the best. We'll see.
Yeah, okay. It's the best from the
Right.
outside perspective. I think the stat is since the merger, um, the first team to win the division back to back years was the Panthers
Yeah.
when they went to the Super Bowl. So this division, like teams don't stay good. There's so much flip flopping in there. It's wild, and you never know what's gonna happen. Even after like everyone thought it was like a consensus decision, the Bucks aren't going to be good this year. Then they come out and they light it up 2 games in a row. Panthers look good. They're 2-1, but they haven't been like impressive where you kind of stand out and say, "Wow, this Panthers team is legit." And then you go look at the Falcons, who are sitting there at 1-3. Yet in every game, they look like this team is amazing. I mean, we beat them in overtime off a final drive, scored first. They didn't touch the ball. You don't know how that game would go with like 2 minor changes in there. Then they go and play the Bengals last week and get a touch. They get scored on with 6 seconds left. So like they're 1-3, but they're not a 1-3 team. They are legit. I hate to say it as someone who hates the Falcons, but the Falcons are
No,
a
and I
decent team.
agree. They're
But
looking
the
looking way better than a 1-3 record would paint them.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, is when you just gotta come out on top, and you can't let Drew Brees look like Michael Vick out there scoring a running touchdown, right?
Yeah. The favorite
That
play
was
of
a
the
great
season
play.
so far. How do two defensive backs, that is,
move.
let a 39-year-old quarterback, 39 years old, spin both of you for a touchdown?
And he looked
How?
every bit 40 years old doing it, but it worked.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't even pretty. If like, I don't know how he didn't get cracked there. It wasn't some quick spin move. It was a 39-year-old
took
white
about 5
quarterback
steps to spin move. It wasn't a step boom.
Yeah.
No,
but it worked.
That's the magic of old white guys. I'm telling you, Jason Witten played that magic forever. He was slow, and he was just incredibly good. And he used positional leverage, and he would just get inside or outside. And it didn't matter. Like, once that happened successfully, you were beat because he was a big dude and was very sure-handed, and you were just going to bounce off of him unless you were, like Jalen Smith. I think Mike could bring him down. We watched, that play got replayed when he hit Eli Manning and sent him in the next week. But no, I mean, Jason Witten is a huge dude, very, very sturdy. And so once he got a shade on you, he was going to catch the ball and he was going to rumble for, 12 yards or whatever. So that whatever works, man, whatever works. You get in the end zone.
Jason Witten was one of my favorite players ever to watch. Jason Witten is just fun to watch, and fun to watch him, defy his age and go be awesome his whole career. Jason Witten is just a flat out fun player.
So with the Buccaneers, they stole a couple games. Maybe do you still It's the opinion. I know, it's hard to like. I'm not in touch with the Giants' opinion on their team, regardless of their record. If teams are
Yeah.
if their fans are still confident or not. But you're thinking the Bucks are going to be a 7-9 team, or it's just completely unknown because of how up and down, or is Jameis going to bring him down? He's going to be his normal self, or is Jameis improving? Or
Yeah, I'm going with that last one. I think the Bucks had their two games, and even look last year, we were good last year. The Bucks stole one game from us.
right,
We went 1-1 against the Bucks. You know, you go look at like Ryan Fitzpatrick historically, and that was like
right,
prime Ryan Fitzpatrick. He can go out one day and go for 4 touchdowns, 400 yards, and then he'll come back next game and look like a third string QB. And that's just who he is. That's what he does. It just so happened that the first two games of the year, he went out and looked like amazing Ryan Fitzpatrick. But from here, I don't want to speak too ahead of myself, but I'm not big on Jameis Winston. I don't think he's
oh, me
that
neither.
great of a quarterback. I do not. Yeah, I just don't see this Bucks team going very far this year. I give them 5, 6 wins from here on out. The NFC South is good. Falcons, Panthers, and Saints all look good. So I don't see them continuing any success. Not saying they'll be bad, bottom of the barrel, but I give them like a
Right,
five
right. But
percent chance to make the
you
playoffs.
just have to worry about them. Those like late season division games. No, I think what needs to happen in a couple of years is, well, if Jameis is still in the league and Manti Te'o, is they need to be on the same team, because those are two of the most memeable players in the entire NFL with crab legs and fake
Yeah.
girlfriends. So, uh,
Yeah.
no, oh
I don't know
man,
if people
well,
would be
add
able
Rob
to handle
Gronkowski
that.
to the mix, and right,
No,
right? All meme team.
all meme
That should
team.
be a thing, man. Get that rolling on your blog, and
No.
your roll to internet famous, internet fandom. Fame. Um. So, I want to. This alludes to the outside perspective of the Saints. Like I'm not in touch with things, and I'm just hearing bits and pieces. But it sounds like Marcus Lattimore is not as good this year so far, and maybe the Saints, secondary. You touched on that actually, yeah. So the Saints secondary last year
Yeah.
performed better than anybody may have expected, rookie cornerback and all. But this year they're not doing so well. So is that going to hold you
Yeah.
down? What's going on with the Saints defense?
Yeah. So everywhere on the defense got better except for the secondary. Somehow got worse without really losing anyone outside Kenny Vaccaro, but our secondary has looked pretty bad every game. Each game is getting a little better. I'll give them that. Each game is getting better and better, but definitely looking
Was it
bad.
just blown
But the
coverages or
thing about the
something? Like
Saints
what?
is,
Why? What's going on with Lattimore, etc.?
yeah, so two okay, so Lattimore week 1 was losing
Gotcha.
his one-on-ones a lot. And our defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, loves to send blitzes and
Right.
put cornerbacks in one-on-one situations. And he was getting beat. Our backup was getting beat. And then week 2, we saw a lot of miscommunication, players not knowing their assignments
Gotcha.
and blowing coverages that way. And we tried. Our quarterback number 2, Ken Crawley, wasn't playing well. So against the Falcons, we threw in our third string, PJ Williams. And in the first half, I repeat, in the first half, Calvin
He
Ridley
did.
had over 100 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So that experiment ended quick. They put Crawley back in the second half. But the thing about it is, we don't need to be good at cover, or we don't need to be that good at defense.
Yeah.
We don't need a top 10 defense. Our offense will put up points. Drew Brees will put up points. Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, and Mark Ingram will put up points. All we need is a defense that doesn't suck, and we'll be fine. We just need to
can build
not
towards that, I
suck.
suppose.
Yeah. No one's asking for top 10. Give us a 17th ranked defense, 18th ranked defense, and we'll be
Yeah,
perfectly
the
fine.
Cowboys' perspective
That's all we
for a
need.
couple years has been very similar. Actually, some of the last Romo years, you have to go back to 2015 and 2014. There was some good, and the offense definitely had playmakers, and Romo never lost a step. He just was consistently injured. That actually blew up. He
Yeah.
recently just he gave a non-answer on, hey, do you ever considering coming back in the NFL? And he's like, well, I mean, health wise, I'm perfectly healthy and I could do it. So I trust the guy who's known his body
Yeah.
and has recovered from all these injuries. So everyone, there's validity there.
Yeah.
So, but I think he's just kind of happy to be where he's at and staying healthy and making good money, and he's clearly having a ball announcing. Right.
And he's good at it
Totally.
too. He's
Out
amazing
of
at it.
nowhere, he's amazing. Also, Jason Witten might not be so amazing, but anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, not as
but
good.
that's
Not
been
as
the
good.
Cowboys' mantra. I don't know. Perspective on the defense is just we got to be good enough. We got to be good enough. And there's a couple times where, man, some real no names out of Colorado or Colorado State passes when he was targeted, but it was, you watch the film and it wasn't playing bad. They ain't getting the receiver, but they Jeff Heath, our safety, he makes some good plays, and then he also gives up some plays. But no, we have strength on the defensive line. We have strength in the linebackers, secondary. So that's actually, it, going forward, something that we feel like we can go toe to toe with almost anybody.
Yeah.
We just got to get the offense together. And last year, for part of the year, our offense was good. And for 2016, our offense was incredible, and I think a lot of that was the lack of film on it all, just catching lightning in a bottle, and confidence really helped. But we just got to get that rolling, and so that's definitely the conversation revolves around our passing attack. So it's just whatever recipe works, right? Yeah. So I mean, I think if you got good players and defensive coordinator you mentioned, are any of the coaches for the Saints new?
Yeah, well, not exactly new. 2 years in, I absolutely love this guy. Defensive line coach Ryan Nielsen. He is amazing. He came from NC State, and he's just. I'm just no. He's been amazing. Cameron Jordan's been good forever, and then we signed Alex Okafor, and Alex Okafor, has a great year last year before he gets hurt. And then now we draft Marcus Davenport, and he's balling out. And then our defensive tackle, Sheldon Rankins, has been absolutely filthy. Even though he like records 0 stats a game. Yeah. Yeah. You watch him, and it's just like, this dude is filthy. You look at his stats, you think he's doing nothing. Sheldon Rankins has been a baller. So I'm really happy what Ryan Nielsen has done with the defensive line. And another one is our special teams coach, Mike Westhoff. So if you followed the Saints in 2016, 2017, mainly 2016, we lost, and I'm not exaggerating, like 4 or 5 games off special teams. Our special teams was terrible. The worst one ever, just if anyone saw it, was a blocked extra point by the Broncos at the very end of the game to tie it up. And they returned it for points. And the dude's foot was out of bounds, but he was wearing white shoes, and they said they couldn't prove that he was out of bounds when his foot was 100% out of bounds. I'm mad about that still. But yeah, so we brought in Mike Westhoff, and he's been amazing in special teams. If you follow the Saints, you'll know that our third string quarterback does literally everything. Our third string quarterback returns our kick returns. He's on punt coverage. He's on kickoff coverage. He plays quarterback on read options. He's lined up as receiver. He's blocked. Literally the only thing he hasn't done yet is play defense. Our third string quarterback. So that all started with our special teams coach coming in and being like, hey, this guy's not playing quarterback, but he's freakishly fast. He's super athletic. Let's get him involved other places. So Mike Westhoff, absolute genius. Great addition to this team. Oh,
So
Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill from BYU, the Storm and Mormon.
Hill. Oh, Okay. Dude,
Hey, I like to bring up this fact.
that I was just like sitting there waiting on you to say he holds kicks, and you didn't even say he holds kicks.
Oh
That's what a
man.
punter does, right? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. I just want to bring up this fact. I bring it up every time. Taysom Hill, our third string quarterback, ran a faster 40 than Christian McCaffrey.
Oh boy,
Just a fun fact for you. Just a fun
that is a
fact.
fun fact. I love those things, right? Our third string quarterback is probably better than our second string quarterback, but he's just a fifth round draft choice, and coaches aren't really giving him much of a chance. But he is, we did keep three on our 53. So, and you mentioned special teams. We actually lost our special teams coordinator. I couldn't name you to the Raiders. I couldn't name you ours now, but so that's so. I don't think there's been any real failures, so I haven't noticed much, and it's good when
Yeah,
you
that's a
don't
good
notice
thing.
anything on
That's a
special
good
teams.
thing.
That's good, right? You just want a couple normal returns and a couple normal punts, and everything will be fine to go play the game, right? But when it can be a strength, then you pull a game out of gas, and boom, you got to win, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's like maybe you say out of like the offense is 2/5, maybe the offense is 40% of the game, and the defense is 40%, maybe 20% is special teams. I really don't think it's thirds, but that little part when the games are close, that can definitely sway
Oh
things.
yeah, that's when it really comes in. That's when you see is like at the end of close games. That's when special teams is huge.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's a play that one that made Tony Romo famous, maybe, and infamous.
Oh
Is
yeah.
he dropped the
Yep.
snap, and they actually changed the whole rule with the new balls or the used balls and everything. So, anyway, it was a wet game, and he fumbled the snap, and he couldn't make it in. I remember seeing that. That was kind of that was kind of rough. So I mentioned the Cowboys defense. Other than Demarcus Lawrence and Sean Lee, there's not a whole lot of household names. Jalen Smith, I'd say. So what is from the outside the perspective from a football fan of the Cowboys defense? And Earl Thomas, I'll remind you, is not on our team.
Yeah. I was gonna actually bring him up. No, see, it's hard to say. Cowboys are obviously one of the biggest team, second biggest team behind the Patriots.
By money and Forbes rankings, we definitely are number one.
Yeah.
Actually, they would say in the world, and even over like Manchester United and stuff. But Jerry sells merchandise like nobody else. Actually, Jerry Jr., the other son that nobody talks about. Steven's the main one, but they're a huge star and they're quote America's team. But do we have a bunch of young guys who haven't really established themselves in the league? Probably.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So go ahead. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. Cowboys defense, your offense for outside perspective is kind of a team that's, I hate to say it, but kind of slowly slipping from what was a powerhouse with Dak and Elliott.
right.
I don't know if you guys lost anyone on the offensive line, but 2 years ago your offensive line looked absolutely amazing. Dak was shredding it up, and he's kind of falling. And then defense from an outside perspective is, I would say, a strong point. More kind of just watching, they can step up and do their job and kind of
I won't blame
terrible.
you. Like it's the defense hasn't been like I said a strength for quite a while. So and now for it to be a bit of a strength, and we're not talking we're not the Jaguars yet, but we definitely have proved that we're pretty good and we know what we're doing. You just have to establish yourself on the national scene. It's kind of like the Vikings were good before everyone realized the Vikings defense was incredible. It takes a little while to get those narratives going and everyone understands, but it's like the Jaguars defense, random talking heads who don't really watch much, and they have to give an opinion on every team. Therefore, they just kind of give talking points, right? Your Sunday night, your Sunday morning crew, etc.
Yeah.
Those guys are going to be talking about the Jaguars defense for 5 years past when the Jaguars defense is any
Yeah,
good.
100%.
Right. So, it's just one of those that the reputation lives on and it's got to build. Our offense, you ask a good question. It's just one of those a million little things. Those things were going right 2 years ago. Dak was feeling incredibly confident. Zeke was fresh. We did have Witten and Dez, and they were actually performing really well. Still, Dez fell off a bit last year. Cole Beasley had his best season ever. He was I don't know, maybe 900 yards or something, for a random third slot receiver kind of thing. He was really good. So it was just so many little things that went right. And one of the big things that people don't know is we had we have the three all pros. Everyone knows Tyron Smith and Zach Martin and Travis Frederick. They're incredible guys, right? They lead our offense. But Doug Free, our right tackle 2 years ago, was he had a problem with penalties and false starts and stuff, but he was a savvy veteran and he didn't have he wasn't gonna be a weak spot. The weakness was occasionally a drive was killed by a false start,
Yeah.
and then but he was good. And in our left guard, Ron Leary, we couldn't pay him. The Broncos paid him big. He he wasn't. He was just a big mauler, and he was very very solid himself as well. But just he paled, compared to Zach Martin. But so we lost both of those guys. We filled in last year. Um, it's infamously filled in with Chaz Green, and Chaz Green gave up 7 sacks against Atlanta. Jerry Jones literally called it the burning of Atlanta. We are forgetting that. And it completely derailed the last 7 games of our season. Tyron Smith was injured at left tackle, and that's why Chaz Green was filling in. Well, Chaz Green had played a little bit of left guard, but Jonathan Cooper, he is definitely not as good as Ron Leary. So our left guard situation was kind of iffy. We were solid, and then right tackle we went to Lyle Collins, but Lyle Collins was basically a rookie last year, I think, and his draft pedigree was very 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 high, but he didn't get drafted. There was a lot of question marks with I think a murder case or something. From LSU, but so he's much better this year. But he was a little inconsistent last year too. So there was some, that was the thing is we had downgraded left guard and right tackle, and then when Tyron Smith went out at left tackle, we actually were very very porous, all things considered. Adrian Claiborne made himself a household name. Now he's with the Patriots, I believe, and Dak's confidence was shaken. So to be honest, I think it was kind of Dak didn't have a welcome to the NFL moment. He just had incredible success. So at that point, I think he hears those footsteps still, and he has to play long enough to where the game slows down for him a little bit. He doesn't have a natural. He doesn't have a Drew Brees, Tony Romo throwing motion, so he's got to work on that. So once the game comes natural to him, I think he will feel more comfortable in the pocket, but he actually doesn't look that comfortable in the pocket. It's weird. So he needs a stretch of several games to get rolling, get comfortable, get that confidence, and he'll let it rip and he'll actually play really well. But right now, he he sees small windows as non-existent, and that's what you have to live and die on in the NFL. And so he just doesn't have the confidence to let it rip. And then when he has the pocket closing in, there was a play I was watching with my dad, and Matt Stafford is last week. The pocket is absolutely closing in on him, and he stands there and he can't even step into it, and he kind of sidearm turns his body a little bit and goes to the left sideline to wherever his running backs, a little player over there. So it makes it work even when things are closing in on him. Dak just doesn't have those skills, and he might never, because Matt Stafford, we're talking number 1 pick, or we're talking bottom of the 4th round. But it's just that savviness of that pocket awareness, and that's not
That's not happening. So that can be a thing. All right. Well, I think we might have lost Tyler, but that was a really good conversation. I think we got to everything except Mark Ingram, but hey, he'll get on the field and we'll just see what's up. That was a good conversation. Thanks for joining us, episode 7 of Drinking with the Boys. Cowboys at Texans on Sunday night. Football coming up. That should be a good one. It is a road game for you Cowboys fans, and Cowboys haven't performed so well on the road thus far, but we'll see if we can manage. That was a good time, and I thank him for joining. Find him and all his friends. They're doing good work at the All Saints Considered podcast. That's it for the Drinking with the Boys episode 7. I'm Corey Stevens, your host, and you know where to find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. So y'all have a good night.